Today I'd like to talk about tempering and temperaments on microtonal instruments, or instruments that have a different amount of frets or notes per octave. In this case there's 26 frets per octave, 26 EDO, 26 tone equal temperament. And one of the things I found in this tuning which is really interesting, it has a basis of flat tone, which is an extended version of mean tone, where the fifths are a little bit flatter than the ideal range for mean tone, which the ideal range is usually around a quarter comma, which is the same as in the 31 EDO. But if you make it a bit flatter, the major third that you're actually trying to get closer to the fifth harmonic, the 5/4 frequency ratio, actually gets a bit lower, and you start tuning somewhere between a neutral third with this type of flattened fifth. Anyways, if we tune, for instance, the C major triad to adjust intonation, this is how I started this one. I ended up having to lower this, the A string, so I have to bend it a bit up to get the nice C major. Otherwise, it's just a bit flat, which gives almost kind of a major seventh kind of vibe, but also kind of the root. And I had to do this tool to get a decent F major as well, because when it was a bit higher, the third was starting to get a bit too high as well. So there becomes this kind of game between that. Anyways, this tuning has some really nice sevenths. And some of these are just about right in tune, and also because it's a flat tone tuning, one thing that's very interesting is that we have the fifths that are flat as the rule essentially, and we found that the major third is a bit flat to where sometimes we want it to be at that. So if we tune some of the strings up, making a temperament kind of idea that some of the notes are going to be a bit higher, we actually get that 5 limit harmony a bit more in tune through tempering. So it gives us this ability of both bending notes to make it in tune, as well as tuning some strings to get certain chords in tune. And this brings us back to ideas of playing in a certain key for a certain tune, and retuning the instrument based on what key we want to play in and what chords that we want to use in a piece. Because if we tune the open C to something that's perfectly in tune, we're going to have the G and the F chords are going to be a bit out. So this is a nice temperament for this one. It's not in exact 26, and we can get a lot of the most common chords as well. If we want to get some of the more exotic chords, we can go between having a strict 26 tuning to see how we can navigate, and then start to tune some strings so that some chords seem to resonate a bit more depending on how close we want to get to different harmonics, whether it's the third harmonic as the fifth harmonic as the major third, if we want to bring out those 11th harmonics to get the more neutral intervals, or if we want to go further into the 7 and the 13 limit harmony, that this tuning also approximates quite nicely, and taking advantage of the slightly smaller quarter tones to have a great precision of tuning in an instrument like this, with this what would you call it, this this fine grained tuning possibility that is allowed in quarter tone size tunings without having the rigid structure of an exact 24 tone instrument. This gives us a bit more precision in some kinds of harmonic tunings and allows some chords to ring a bit more. And as you can hear, some of these tones, these chords can be quite nice. If we want something that's different from the 12-tone tuning and we don't want to go into the somewhat dissonant and rigid quarter tone tuning, we have a lot of sizes of quarter tones that we can use to find some other really interesting tunings. And especially if we use tempering on an acoustic instrument, we can get a lot of diversity in the ways that the instrument can help us express our compositions and our songs.